Yeah, good morning. This is Bang Bang Rahal. Tony Lawrence, Frankie Fraser, Richardson's. I mean, Tony Lawrence, I met in Chelmsford Prison, yeah. I've told people this, but it's a story, yeah. There's a story to this. Tony Lawrence, I met in Chelmsford Prison. Big guy, glasses, got a few scars in his face where he'd been shot. He'd been shot 6 times by the Sullivans, or bullets shot all around his head, and 2-2s there was, all shot everywhere, all over his body. And you know, he's got holes everywhere in his body. They went everywhere, mate. 2-2s was what a 2-2 does. A 2-2's a hit gun, because once he goes in you, it's all bounces everywhere, yeah. Anyway, Tony Lawrence has got all holes everywhere in his body, you know, big lumps and things and everywhere. Anyway, nice geezer, mate. I met him just by chance. I was walking down on the ones, and his cell was on the ones, and I see him in his cell doing a workout with his dumbbells. God, I couldn't believe it. I was only one of them, and I walked in and I said, "Hello, mate." I said, I went, "Where'd you get that from?" Do you know what I mean? He went, "What?" He said, "What are you, a police officer?" I went, no. I said, like, "Where'd you get it from?" You know what I mean? He said, "Look, I work in the boiler house, I made it." I said, "Can I have a look at it?" Yeah. He said, "Yeah, come in. And I picked it up, and it weighed about 50 pounds. I swear, like, it was great big cogs, and it weighed about 50 pounds, and which is a lot of weight, you know what I mean? And I said, Can I have a little chuck about it?" He went, because I was in the gym, I was massive, you know what I mean? He could see that I'm into weights and all that. So I said, "Yeah, go and have a go." And I started doing triceps with it. These tricep extensions, you know. And he went, "Cool." He said, "You're strong, mate." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Look," he said, "My name's Tony Lawrence." He said, I come from Fulham." And he was talking to me about his life and this, that, and he told me about the Sullivans and the scrapyard when they shot him and all that. And he was, you know, he just said, and I said, "Well, I come from Acton." He went, "Okay." And I started finding a few names out, you know, which he didn't know anybody really from around my manor, Acton. Only like a few old boys, you know. But other than that, he didn't really know, because all the old boys are fighters. But he's into gangsterism. He's with the Richardsons, isn't he? So I don't know this at the time, but we're talking, and he said, "Look, anytime you want to come down, use your weights." He said, "Come down." He said, and you know, he said, "I'll let you come work out myself." Anyway, I'm talking to him, and they got really close, going in for cups of tea, and he told me about his life, you know. And he had a fucking heavy life, you know what I mean? He was one of the Richardson's enforcers, very, very heavy, you know what I mean? And I got a picture of him standing at the back of Charlie and Eddie and all that lot, standing by a Jag years ago, yeah. An old picture. I'm trying to find it, and I might put it on the front of my fob now, yeah. But Tony Lawrence was a great guy. He's doing a big bit of bird. I think he was doing a 17. I'm not quite sure. Obviously, his kids sometimes look at my podcasts and all that and my videos, and they more likely tell me, especially his daughter Tony, more likely tell me what sentence that he got. But he was married to a woman called Reenie, really, really pretty woman, mate. Such a beautiful woman. He had a photograph, really so attractive, yeah. And all the bird he'd done, I think he'd done about 12 years out of it, 30, I'm not quite sure. She was there every 2 weeks. She was there every 2 weeks, mate, visiting him. Never let him down, all over the countries, everywhere, Durham. I mean, he was, I'll tell you about my vicar thing, but he was involved with the vicar turnout with Vicar and my cousin, and anyway, my cousin played the part. You know, it's a big thing, yeah. And he talked to me about that, about the escape, and which I'm going to talk to you about. But every day I was going down there for a talk, but more so I wanted to get on his weights, because I'd do my weights in the gym, and I'd come down to his cell and have a workout. So he'd come and take you to the toilet, and I'd have a workout in the toilet, you know. And he's such a nice geezer. Make me coffees, teas, anything I wanted. And he was a proper gangster, mate. I mean, He didn't have nothing to do with all the others. He never had nothing to do with Ronnie Bender, Tibbses, Dixons, nothing to do with them people. He kept well away from them. You know, he's his own person because he was who he was, and the Benders and all. He didn't get involved with them because all of them was around the craze at times, with the craze, around the craze, and he was the Richardsons. So he was very staunch to the Richardsons, very staunch to Eddie and Charlie Richardsons, because they're both alive at that time, because when I went out of prison, I see Charlie, yeah. Anyway, so all of a sudden, one day, let me tell you about the story about my vicar. He told me the story about my vicar. He was have you ever seen a film called McVicker? Tony Lawrence was the guy with glasses who was doing all the weights, yeah? McVicker made him out to be a simple Simon, yeah? And it upset Tony big time, mate, because Tony Lawrence is no simple Simon. He's proper gangster, a really, really bad enforcer, a dangerous man. He's so dangerous. I mean, let me go on my story, yeah? Anyway, he was talking to me about the McVicker turnout, and he said that him and McVicker was very close in there, you know. And McVicker was a very bit of a two-faced guy. He was very two-faced. He wasn't so staunch as what people make him out to be. He was around all cliques, and he wasn't in one clique. He'd have a little word here, then he'd fly over there. He had no money. He had nothing, McVicker. Even all the work he used to do, he had nothing. So he was always poncing food, sandwiches, and all this, that, and the other. And Fraser, Frank Fraser was there. Tony Lawrence was there. Richards was there. And believe me, mate, he told me a few times that he nearly kicked off. It nearly kicked off in there because of Fraser. And because Tony was with Eddie and Charlie. And Fraser was there. And Fraser was he was telling me, Lawrence, that Fraser was a very, he wasn't to be trusted. Listen, I know David and I know Patrick, and I don't know Frank, the big one, but David and Patrick, proper staunch, very staunch guys. I'm not talking behind your back, behind your back, but I'm just telling you what Tony Lawrence told me. And Tony Lawrence was just saying that he weren't very staunch as far as people were concerned. He would go anywhere he'd think he'd be getting something out of it, Frankie Fraser. And everybody says how staunch he was. He was staunch, I suppose, when he was with you at that time, but then he'd go on to another company and get what he could get off of them. And he was telling me about, he went, mate, he said, I was with the Richardsons, Eddie and Charlie, big time. I was a big time Charlie. I was big enforcer. Anything they wanted doing, I used to do it with other people, but I was the main person, mate. And this is why I got shot. This is why the Sullivan shot me. Big turnout, mate. He said, I was working in my scrapyard, and the Sullivan, I was downstairs and doing something. I heard a bit of noise upstairs, shot upstairs, couldn't see nothing. Come back down, working down there. All of a sudden, still heard the noise. Walked upstairs, walking around the yard, looking around what was going on, nothing. And he said, and all of a sudden, as I was walking down the stairs, bosh, bang, someone shot me. It went straight through my chest, out the other side. Big caliber gun, rifle. And he said, I should have been dead. He said, I come down the stairs, fell down the stairs. He said, one of the Sullivans walked over to me and bomb. He said, I don't remember nothing really. He said, I know that they shot me about 5-6 times in the face, all around there. He said, I just went unconscious. He said, big blurs, and I was seeing things. I was seeing different things. I was seeing other parts of my family. I was seeing everything. I said, mate, he died. You know what I mean? It's like crazy and come back, you know. He come back to his body. He reckoned his soul was flying up in the air. Listen, I'm only telling you what he told me. He said his soul was lifting up in the air, you know, and he said he looking down onto his body. It was a right bad state. And he said, it ain't his time, mate. I ain't going nowhere, you know. And he said to me that he crawled back into his body. I mean, it sounds a bit over the top, but I'm telling you what he told me, yeah. He said he crawled himself back into his body, and blood pumping everywhere from the chest wound and the fucking all over his head and this, that and the other. And then the police were called. Armed police come down there as murders, you know. There was no grassing up or nothing like that, mate. And they certified him dead. They certified him dead then. Put him in a motor, drove him to the morgue, to the mortuary, and these people cut the bottom of his feet to bleed him and all that, and he jumps out of bed. He jumps off the table, the metal table, you know, where they bleed you, the stainless steel table. He jumped up, and everybody thought it was his nerves, yeah. But he was shouting, screaming, and he'd been shot 6 times in the head and been shot with a .303, I think it was, through the chest. That he should be dead. Even with that is enough. The man was just a powerhouse. This man was so powerful, so strong, you wouldn't believe it. Maybe not so strong in that way, but very strong in it. Unbelievable, mate. And he told me that and the police jumped on him and was battering him with truncheons, you know, and knocked him out. Next thing he knows, he's in hospital. I think it's in Chelsea Hospital, and he's nearly dying. He's nearly dying. It looks like he's on his deathbed, but he pulled through. He said, "Ray, I pulled through." He said, then they took me to, I think it was the Ville. I'm not quite sure what prison it was. Wandsworth. They took me to Wandsworth and didn't want to keep him there too long. And then they took him to Durham, yeah. But he'd been, it's a bad way, Tony Lawrence. But he talked to me about that, you know. And to think that guy was shot 6 times in the head with a 2-2, and it all bounced around and come out here and all round the gaff, you know. And Tony Lawrence, mate, was my hero in a way, you know what I mean? Because, you know, and not only did I come out of prison and meet him, but stories that he told me about people. And then I was getting more and more into it with him. I was getting down his cell more often, talking to him and this, that and the other. And he said, "Look, when I go, why don't you take my job?" I said, no. And he talked to me about his wife, Weenie. You know, and how good she's been raised and seeing me, never lets me down, always here on a visit every 2 weeks, and my kids are good, and everything's hunky dory. Everything's so good, you know. We've moved to somewhere else, and everything's sweet, yeah. He said, "No, I owe her so much, you know." I said, "Mate," that's beautiful, Tone. You know what I mean? It's really beautiful, mate. Yeah? And all of a sudden, anyway, one day I'm in the kitchen, and for some reason they closed all the wings up, and you know, being me, I was in the kitchen. You could walk down this wing, what was closed up. I think they used it for films, yeah. And it was just closed up. It was just about 20-30 cells there. It was closed up, yeah, but it was onto the kitchen. You walked onto it to get into the kitchen, yeah. But if you come out of the kitchen, you know, and this, so when you get hold of our Mitchell, S.O. Mitchell, he sometimes let you out. I said, "Let us out, Mitch, just go down there, mate." And it didn't know nothing about the closing the prison up, but when he did, he shouted, "Oi, come back here, Ellie." But I see this geezer walk through the centre, 4 or 5 screws wrapped around him, walking through the centre, bouncing about, and it was Frankie Fraser. Yeah. Walking through the centre of Chelmsford prison where the big bell was, right? And he was walking through the prison, had all the screws around him. They shut the prison up for him, I don't know why. Shut the prison up to get him on the wing. And I didn't know until I come out the kitchen, walked up the stairs, and he's 2 cells from me, yeah, Frankie Fraser. And there he is, in his cell, 2 buckets of water, cloths and bits and pieces on his hands and knees, cleaning the floor, doing the table, the chairs, everything. And he never had anything in his cell what he shouldn't have. We all had carpet, curtains, bedspreads, you know, record players, radios, everything, yeah. I was lucky. I had a Hacker, that big Hacker radio. I had a beautiful, what's the name, Sonny record player, and my cell was done like a palace, you know what I mean? But 2 cells is Frankie Fraser, he's got nothing. Bare essentials. People that listen to my video know The bare necessities, bare is bare. That's your chair, your table, your piss pot, your corner unit, and whatever it is, little bits and pieces. Frankie Fraser never had a photograph on his photograph board. I never had a board anyway, but photograph board, yeah. He never had that. Not one picture on it, nothing. I think Patrick was there. I think Patrick or David was there at that time. I'm not quite sure at that time. But Frank just saw as he was doing. You know, I walk by and I see him on the floor, cleaning the floor. And, you know, he does this twice, 3 times a week. He does it just part of his everyday thing, his system. It's a system he got, he does it, yeah. Then he get people start going in his cell with milk, coffee, tea, you know, everything, sandwiches, whatever he needs. He's just going in his cell, giving him lots of pieces. Frank saying, no, I don't want that, I don't want this, I just, you know, anyway. He just lives normal, like a normal prisoner, mate. He doesn't want anything, but obviously so he did. I mean, there were people making him dinners and all that sort of thing, you know what I mean? Because the guy's got respect, got done a lot of bird, you know what I mean? He isn't no idiot, you know what I mean? He's a proper guy at that time. Anyway, I shook down to see Tony and waiting for Tony to come in from his job in the boiler house. He comes in, he's fucking white, mate, he's pure white. I said, what's up, mate? He went, that fucking Fraser. I said, what? He said, that Fraser. He said, me and him. He said, in Durham, I wanted to kill him when he was in Durham with Charlie and Eddie and me. I was the enforcer for Charlie and Eddie, and that Fraser was a complete wanker. He said, I wanted to kill him. He said, I swear to God, Ray. He said, I swear to God, I plotted up with him time and time again. But I left it, yeah. I was doing too much bird, I was doing too much more. He said, it's just too much, he said, and me and him never hit eye to eye. He said, any time I was in there talking to Eddie or Charlie and he'd walk in, I walk out. I'd never talk to him. I hated his guts there because he's just two-faced. How can someone be with us, Eddie and Charlie, and then go over to the water and then be with Ronnie and Reggie Gray and work with them and then come back to us? It's like a fucking spy, you know. He said, I'm coming back telling Charlie and Eddie about making the craze, and he's more like going back and telling them about the Richardsons, you know. He said, I didn't like it, mate. He said, I wanted to kill him. He said, I swear I wanted to kill him. It's only the fact that I do want to be here for the rest of my life. I've got my wife and my kids out there. So some people, you know, they can do things whilst they're in prison, but just leave it out. Just don't get involved in it, you know what I mean? Just leave it alone. So me and Fraser 2 doors away. He's come to see me, Fraser, and myself. I'm sure Patrick was there because if I remember right, I think it was either Patrick or David coming to my cell to talk to me about bits and pieces, asking me if I could get certain things in the kitchen, you know, and this, that, and the other, yeah. But the funniest thing I ever did, yeah, being me, I was in the kitchen, and Big Jimmy Tibbs was a butcher. Jimmy Tibbs, I mean, he run the kitchen really, the old man Tibbs. He had young Jimmy working in there as well for a bit of time. But the old man Tibbsy, diamond, mate, proper man, mate. And, you know, you would get a bit of meat off him, but it was hard work because all the meat he had, he used to take to the wing for his dinners and bits and pieces. He used to sell lots of big joints of meat. Mickey Green would always buy big legs of lamb and roast beef, and it'd be Ronnie Bender who would take it out. The kitchen was like, listen, the kitchen was mad. I see Ronnie Bender coming in there, mate, with a screw, picking up all bits and pieces and walking out there with legs of lamb and beef put in the dustbin. Mitchell, the SO, would say nothing, just kept quiet. The prison was just, they respected them, mate. Listen, they're cons, they're doing their bird, but even the screws respected who they was. And you got this Welsh screw, what was in the kitchen, Taffy. We called him just Taffy, yeah? And he was ex-block, fucking military police officer, whatever he was, and you know, block screw, thick set, ex-rugby player, flat nose, horrible. And one day, this is the bit of the story. One day, me, Alan Dixon, George Jones, Gorgeous George, Peter Kelly, Peter Lyons, they wanted to get these rolls. I was in the bakers, wanted to get these rolls done a bit quick. It was a bit short. Didn't have much time to do it. It was early bang up. So there they was all doing the rolls, and that Welsh screw thought he was clever, spat on the table, started doing the rolls, laughing. Ha ha ha, mate. He was lucky that he never got killed. They got a big knife that cuts the paste, the dough. You know, he was lucky that he never got killed. But Peter Lyons, right, was one dangerous man, right. He was murdered with a knife, Peter, and he picked this knife up. You could see he wanted to cut him across the fucking lip of it, or cut his hands, because spitting on the table and them cons are eating them rolls is out of order. You know, so they told him, do yourself a favour, mate, don't be doing that, you know what I mean? We're cons, and you're doing it to us. Don't do that, you know? And he shit himself, mate. But he was a block screw, a nasty screw, yeah? Any trouble, he was there. Anyway, the worst one in the kitchen, which not the worst one, is a nice geezer, Ronnie Malloy. Ronnie Malloy, silver bullion, the silver bullion guy. They never found the silver bullion. I was always talking, where's it from? Where you put it, mate? Yeah, you like to know, Ray. He was in charge of the pantry. Listen, he had so much stuff in that pantry: big sugar, coffee, cocoa, biscuits, cakes, everything was in there for the pantry, for the officers' mess. Everything come through there. He used to walk out with his downstairs, is to put it all downstairs, have a what's it called it, a bib on, put it downstairs, oval little thing, put it downstairs, walk out there, standing out about a foot, screw go down. Mitchell was always searching Mitchell, because Mitchell was taking stuff home, obviously, so, you know what I mean? But Ronnie Malloy, go on, mate. And Ronnie Malloy was running fortunes, even though Ronnie Malloy had fortunes out there, because it's silver bullion, being involved with silver bullion, you can imagine, can't you? Ronnie Malloy, nice guy, mate. Big lips, Ronnie Malloy had, but proper nice guy. He wouldn't give you anything, you know what I mean? Honestly, I was big, powerful, and could have a right fight. They ain't fucking bothered about me in the kitchen. We're just cons. We're all convicts, you know what I mean? And he was like, I say, one, get some tea. Nah. Get some sugar. Nah. Give me half an ounce and I'll give you some tea and sugar. I went, shut up. I'm in the kitchen with you. No, it's what I do, mate. He said, you're on the bakers. He said, if I want some yeast off you, you're going to charge me. I said, Ron, you're the one that gives me the yeast. You give me it so you can take it anyway. But anyway, in the end, you get it. You know, you do get it. But it was always having murders. But when Bender come through that back door, mate, with a screw, he'd walk in with a dustbin, take the dustbin out. It'd be Keiko with everything. Biscuits, cakes, marmalades, jam, butter. Everything was in that bin. Meat, leg of lamb, leg of beef, a bit of beef and pork and all that. And he'd just take it, mate. And the screws were saying nothing. The old man Tibbsy used to take meat out every day, downstairs in the groins, all the way, wrap it, go walk through there. Me, Peter Lyons, same thing. I don't know what it was about me. But they used to search me. I very rarely could get out there with any meat and things like that. So Peter Lyons, my pal, who was opposite myself, used to bring joints, bits of meat out for me, the steak and all that going. The kitchen in Chelmsford Prison, it was like, just mad every night, big joints of meat. Everybody was having whatever they wanted, you know what I mean? And not everybody, I'm on about everybody that they was with, yeah? So you had Ronnie Bender, Ronnie Malloy, not Ronnie Malloy, Ronnie Malloy, Ronnie Bender, Ronnie Malloy, Jimmy Tibbs, young Jimmy Tibbs, who was it? Terry Morgan, What You Lose Swallow. There's other lots of Mickey Green, Tony Edlin, and all them people playing card schools. They'd all be drinking scotch, vodkas, and all that, and they pay for it, through Ronnie Bender. I mean, Ronnie Bender's doing a big bit of bird. He liked to send money out to his woman. They'd buy a bottle of scotch or whatever. Listen, Ronnie Bender out in his own way. Ronnie Bender had screws in there that he could get bits and pieces of. I've had a few comments from screws going on my podcast saying that it couldn't happen. It does happen. And they're not in that prison because it don't happen in Albany and it don't happen in Brixton. It happens here. Chelmsford Prison was the greatest, best prison in England, mate. Anyway, so all that lot are getting whatever they like. So anyway, let's go back to my mate Tony Lawrence. So Tony Lawrence, he's having murders with Frasers. He don't like Fraser, mate, and Frasers don't like him. And Tony knows that at any time it could kick off, yeah. So Tony Lawrence was coming from work, go in the shower, and that's it. But when Fraser got there, he would call me down, or I'd already be down there working out, and he'd say, "Me do me a favour, right?" I said, "What's up?" He'd say, "Can you watch the door of the shower room? You know what I mean, of the toilet?" I said, "What's up?" He said, "No, I don't trust Fraser, mate." He said, "Me and Fraser have loggerheads 24/7. I don't trust him. I don't trust him to come in when I'm in the shower and stab me up and kill me." Yeah, he said he would do that, Fraser. He don't think nothing. He would do it. Tony Lawrence is a big man. If only trying to rip his head off, Tony Lawrence to take his head off, But it's like everything. If someone comes in the shower and just jabs you through the curtain, what can you do about it? You know what I mean? So I should be on the door, not a doorman. Do you know, that was my job years ago. And Frank, a couple of times, Frank has come down and says, "You can't come in, Frank." You know what I mean? "Come on, mate. You ain't coming in." And then he say to me, "Listen, son," that's where he go. "Listen, son, don't tell me what I can and can't do, right? I've been in prison a long time, don't try and push me around," you know what I mean? And he got right wicked about it, And I said, "Listen, Frank, you're not on, mate. You can't come in." And I was big, I was 19 stone. And Frank, just walked away. But Frank was 2 cells for me, And Frank would come in my cell and just say, "Look, don't ever do that again to me, Ray. You know what I mean? I don't take people like you telling me what I can and can't do." I said, "Frank, Tony Lawrence, my pal, I've got big respect for you, but you can't do it, mate. You can't. When he's having a show, you can't come in. He only let me stab him up, mate, and I'll make sure that you don't come in, Frank. Why make a big thing of it? Why make a big thing of it? Why are you coming and make a big thing of it? You know what I mean?" And so Frank went a bit mad at me. I think it was David or Patch, I'm not quite sure, coming in and had to go at me too about it. And I went, "Well, that's what it is, and I got really close to Tony because I met Tony when I come home, yeah. But anyway, Jimmy Tibbs, young Jimmy, good footballer, mate, good footballer. He was not a bad rugby player, as it happens. We had a good rugby team in Chelmsford Prison. You had the teams we played: London Irish, London Saracens, Wasps. But only the second or third teams. But it's still good to play them and beat them. I was a prop. Peter Lyons was a prop. There's some. We had some good prop people in there. Mickey Blackmore was in there. Roy France. There was some proper Watkins. Proper people could really, really march on. Any time there was trouble on the pit, listen, there was always trouble on that rugby team, rugby field. Always trouble in the rugby field, because any time that you want to let out all your steam, you can imagine, can't you? You're in prison. You can't really let off a lot of steam in there. It's only a small prison, Chelmsford Prison. But the screws are sweet, you don't want to get chucked out of a prison like that, so you've got to keep it quiet, you don't want to call too many murders. I've had a few punch-ups in there. But anyway, so when you get on the rugby fields, yes, you can let all your you can go, can't you? You can let it all out. It's there, all the testosterone's there, you're fucking crazy. Kick off, your offence is we used to batter the teams, and the teams used to batter us. And I've said it before, I was a good prop, and I was a battering ram, mate. Every time I got hold of that ball, and I was nearly over, mate. The line, they shot any time it was nearly over, they'd throw it to me, mate, and I'd go over. No one could stop me. I remember playing the army, yeah, once, and they had this prop, yeah, big guy. He was about the same stamp as me. Maybe I was a little bit heavier, but really horrible flesh guy. And I'd give me the ball to run, and he'd come rushing at me. Mate, I smashed him. I hit him so hard under the chin. He got me a bang! The ball under this hand, wallop! I hit him under the chin, mate. He whoop! It was spark out. He went spark out, you know. And that, I mean, we had some good games in there. We had some laughs in there. We had fights. Peter Lyons, Peter fucking Mickey Blackmore, Francis. There was some fucking. I mean, there were some proper people in there, mate. And I loved Chelmsford Prison, mate. I loved everything about it. It was just too good. And the teams would come in. The football teams would come in, the rugby teams would come in, and they would always leave something, a bottle of this, a bottle of that, big boxes of tobacco, chocolate, sweets, whatever. Just leave it on the side for you under a coat. Scrooge wouldn't give a fuck. They let it go because the nick's running smooth. Why do they all upset the prison? It's all running smooth, mate, you know what I mean? It's a tiny, tiny nick. It ain't big like Wandsworth where you've got millions of screws around, want to bash people up. This is a nice little place that everybody's just getting on with their bird, no causing no problems. So but mostly Ronnie Bender was out there all the time, collecting these bottles of drink and these fags, and it was always come in, Scrooge, little rub down. But yeah, Ronnie Brenner walked in there with a satchel or whatever. He didn't walk in. Anyway, it was what it was. And in the yard, when I weren't playing rugby, there was one of them big metal tin shacks, big round tin shack, which you could go out and train. How many prisons you get that, mate? You know, and it had all the fences around it, but the wall was tiny. Chelmsford, no one really had it away there, mate. I think they just wanted to do the bird and get out, you know. And, you know, it was just, you go there, mate, and there was enough gear in that shed, weights and all that, to chuck it over the wall, smash through the fence and go away. But who wants to, you know what I mean? And I used to train in there, mate. I used to pull the bench out, someone try and pull the bench out, because rugby's more or less a winter sport, really, as such. But pull the bench out and start doing benching, decline benching, incline benching, curls, everything, yeah. And out there, mate, it was beautiful. I loved it. And I used to do silly weights, like pounds, kilos. We didn't know what kilos were then, it was all pounds. And I used to do something like 460 pounds, right? It's not a lot of weight, but decline. Bump, 5 reps, 6 rep decline, bump, 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 bump. Crazy, mate, crazy. Incline, maybe 364, with a block of wood. I used to go crazy. And I remember this time, this football team come in, and anyway, there was after it finished, I'm going through the green, I'm going back to the wing, and this football team behind me going, who the fuck's that geezer? He's massive, mate. I had no shirt on. Just walking, I was massive. My back was huge because all the deadlifting I used to do, stiff-legged deadlift. Back was massive, you know. And they're going, "Who's that geezer?" The screws got me. They want to know who you are. I said, "What, a gay?" He said, "They all want to know who you are. They can't believe the size that you're in prison. You know what you're on. You know." Anyway, so Tony Lawrence, and then one day on the board. I'm in the kitchen, so I come out into the centre, do all the hot plates there by the bell, and they've got the centre there, all the things in the centre, and people keep coming down to their dinner. Wasn't a lot of people come down to their food, yeah? If they did, they give it away, yeah? Because there's always cooking. And so people coming down to their food, and on the board, in the centre, it had tonight, in the in the church, there's a ballet class coming in, ballet school coming in. You can't believe it, can you? You think, nah, no way. Ballet? It must be guys, those guys coming in doing the ballet. So we all go up there, have a look. These little tarts come out. You can all imagine kind of with thongs and all the gear on. All doing the ballet, and everybody's in there going crazy. You can imagine. At night time, everybody's like stropping it off, going mad, don't they? Everyone wants to bang up fast, get hold of a dirty magazine and be all night long because of the ballerinas. But we've had the ballerinas about 2 or 3 times, yeah, and it's fantastic. The governor in there, mate, and the chief in Chelmsford Prison, you couldn't even imagine what they were like, The governor had a dog. He was a nice guy. The chief, he was gay, but he was a nice guy. Just, and one day I was in the kitchen and he said to me, he called me out, Elite, what you want is at the gate. I mean, go walk there, go. He said, yes, go there. He said, come, the chief wants to see you. I went, what have I done? He said, I don't know. He said, but the chief told me he wants to see you. I mean, oh, fuck me, what have I done, you know what I mean? You're trying to think what you've done, what you need, what you got out of your cell. Because my cell shouldn't be at a cell. That cell is no way a cell, you know what I mean? It's like a palace. So I thought, I'm in trouble. I've got an armchair in, I've got everything in my cell. It's crazy. You'd not believe it, honestly. So I goes in the thing, he goes to me, Illy, he said, I've got a bit good news for you. He said, and this could help you out. He said, and I'm going to put some money into your wages, into your money. He said, and I want you to do me a favour. He said, I'm going to put money into your money every week, so you get good money to spend. I said, what is it, Chief? He went, there's someone here called Wilkinson. I thought he was Jimmy Wilkinson from Ealing. I went, yeah, I know him well. Okay, what's he doing here? He went, this guy's George Wilkinson, and he's been smashed to pieces, mate. They battered him, they've drugged him up, he's in a right bad way. He took hostage and they bashed him up and this, that and the other. He's now here. We're going to try and look after him, make sure that he doesn't get himself in any trouble, and we want him to, just have a good time while he's here, and don't get yourself in any problems. We need you to look after him. I went, quite a big responsibility, Governor. I'm always in the gym. He said, listen, take him to the gym here, train him, get him, Anyway, so when I walked in the ring, I mean, come on, and what I think to say to the chief, I think I'm going to get out of my parole. Get out. So walks in there, and I walk in this cell. This geezer's in there. He's about 6 foot something. Ginger hair, big guy. Talks like this. Like that. He was gone, mate. He was gone. They drugged him up so bad. You could see they smashed him to pieces. When he took hostage, and like he'd been moving around for about 6 months, but when he came to Chelmsford, you could see they smashed him to pieces. He was still not together, yeah. And I said, look, all right, George. And I said, my name's Ray. I said, anything you need? He went, oh, got a tea, got a cup of tea, mate. So I said, yeah. I went up, made him a cup of tea, brought some biscuits and cakes down, put them down. Oh, thank you. And all that. And then the bell goes for your medication. Instead of him walking down for it, they bring it to him. They used to bring it in a little beaker, and the little blue beakers. Anybody would know that in prison? Little blue beaker. They bring all this stuff in there, like Gatrol, like Mogadone, all this shit they used to put him on, yeah? And pills that was going out of fashion. He couldn't control this guy. He was too big, too strong. He's nut. And that's all they could do, was give him drugs to try and control him. Anyway, big lot of noise one night time. Well, I could hear all the screaming and shouting and screws. Ellie! I went downstairs, goes in the cell. He's as weak as they come. He's got a big locker. In Chelmsford, the cells were really high, big round ceilings, really high. And he picked his locker up above his head, and he like nothing, yeah, like a paper box. And he was like going to pick it, and he was going to do the screws. And I walked in there, you'll put it down. Right. Eyes out his nut. There was shit all over the floor. There was pills everywhere. I went, wow, Can't believe it. So I said, look, George, go in my cell, go and have a sit down, make yourself a cup of tea. I said, I'll be up in a minute, yeah. Clean your cell out. And the stink, the shit was everywhere. But I cleaned it out for him. Put a white suit on and everything, yeah. And then I cleaned his cell out and all spotless. But before he went, I said, listen, George, don't smash my cell up. My cell is really, really clean. Don't smash it up, right? So I cleaned his cell up, went upstairs. He's sitting on my little seat, yeah, nice little seat. Got an armchair in here, proper armchair from Officer's Mess. So he's sitting in it. Oh, I love it in here, right? It's beautiful. Look at the bed. Anyway. So I said, George, want some biscuits, some cakes, take him down to your cell and behave yourself. All right, mate, thank you. Took him down the stairs. They banged him up and he was happy because he got his drugs and he sat in the other. He was sweet. And everything between me and him is nice. Everything's lovely. Everything's lovely. Going down the gym, sweet. All of a sudden, he's kicked off. He ain't come down the gym for some reason. He'd only come down the gym. But what he's done, he's a bit nutty. Isn't his fault, right? He's just said, battered him. He's too many drugs. He don't know what he's doing. What does he do? Goes in the television room. Frankie Fraser, Old Man Tibbs, Young Tibbs, Alan Dixon, Ronnie Bender, Togie Ludlow, crazy. All that little firm, Dave Potter. There's a lot of people in there. Terry Millman. There's so many people in there, mate. It's crazy. All watching television, watching what they're watching. What does he do? Walks into the television room, turns the television over. They're going mad. What's he do? Pick the telly up, smashes it. I think he does that anyway. I think he smashed it. They want to kill him. He does. They want to kill him. Screws come in, drag him out, take him down the block. I don't know what they do, because I've got to say it, that Chelmsford Prison didn't have many screws there at night time anyway. I don't think that too many blocks, anybody in there would bashing anybody up really. But I don't know that Royal Screw from the kitchen was down. I don't know. But evidently he got done or hurt, and in Chelsea Prison they never had a padded cell. They had a cell with mattresses in there, foam mattresses, and I went down there to see him, and the chief's outside the door. I said, Chief, can I go and see him? He said, yeah, you go and see him. He said, but he's going. I said, Chief, let me go and see him. Walked in there to see him. Oh, Ryan, I'm so sorry. All my life, I'm so sorry. Please, I'm so sorry. I'll buy another telly. Please. I don't want to leave this place. I want to stay. Oh, you look after me. He was crying like a baby, man. And I felt so sorry for this guy, yeah. What would he not do it again? Would he? I don't know, yeah. And I walked out to see the chief. I said, Chief, I said, look, can't you keep him down here for a few more days? I'll come and see him. But he doesn't want to leave this place. Chief said, no, he's got to go, Billy. I'm sorry, mate, he's got to go. And they took him. They cuffed him up, drugged him up. He didn't know where he was. And they took him. And they took him to, I believe it was a prison, big hospital in it. Someone told me it was the Ville. Then someone said it was not the Ville, it was the Scrubs in Wandsworth, and it was anyway. I reckon it was strapped up to a bed, legs and arms, and the man had strength that you couldn't believe. I reckon he snapped all his things and smashed the whole hospital up, where the wing he was in, smashed it completely up. And they drugged him up, they moved him all around the gaff, and they eventually killed him. There's a book called Frightened for Your Life. I'm in that book, 1315490. It's about Jimmy Wilkinson, Wilkinson, George Wilkinson. And it'd make you cry, mate. It would break your heart to think, you think, that couldn't happen. But it happened to me, for laydowns and things. but it happened to him 10 times, 20 times worse. It'd break your heart to read what happened to him. And in the death, listen, when he took hostage for a reason. His old mum was not too well. She couldn't travel to see him. He came from a Hull area, something like that, I don't know. And they moved him a million miles away. His mum couldn't come and see him. She used to cry all the time, when letters and things. And you got to remember, there wasn't no phones in them days. So letters, and anyway, he had to get by his mum. That's why he asked for a helicopter. Anyway, they shipped him even further away than they did before. They drugged him up really, really bad. So bad that he didn't know who he was. He eventually went back to Hull, or something like that, one of Nick's. And his mum came in to see him, and he never even knew who she was. He never even knew who she was. And his mum broke her heart, mate. It killed her. She died. George, they killed him on drugs. That's why you should read the book called Fighting for Your Life. And it is frightening. It is frightening to think that people can do that to people. This is a human being, yeah? And they've done this to him, yeah? Because when people walk by prisons, yeah, you see 4 walls. That is a different world. What goes on behind them walls, you would never realise what goes on behind the walls. People are getting killed. People are getting absolutely battered in there. They're getting drugged up to the eyeballs, and they're getting killed. On another, but let's not go there. But I'm just telling you, poor George, he died. They killed him over drugs. Fighting for Your Life. Please get it. Please read it. It's a book that would break. It's about people, but it's more about George Wilkinson, and it's a good read. But it's a read that you think, oh, you can't put it down. You can't put it down. It's called Fighting for Your Life. And I keep saying it. People are going to say in my comment, "Oh, Fighting for Your Life, Fighting for Your Life," as they do. But you know, this book, you should read it. It's a fantastic book. And get on your comments. If anybody reads that book, get back to me. Fighting for Your Life. Anyway, so now he's gone. I'm on the wing. I'm thinking, okay, no, you know. So, but what happened because of that? Because of the smash up the television and this, that, and the other, the chief, the governor, and the people in the prison who organised this and organised that. Who do they organise? Sex Pistols. The Sex Pistols come to Chelmsford Prison. Is that mad? Is that crazy? You're on about 1960, 76, 77, something like that. There, round about there, something. It could be, I don't know, 76, 77. And it's the Sex Pistols. And where do they go? They go to the gym. It's because they've got a stage there, yeah? Everybody goes down there, the Benders, the Tipsies, the Ludlows, there's so many people go down there. Millmans, Swallow, there's nutters in there's people that are complete out and out nutcases. They all go there, right? Sex Pistols come on, playing a few things. All of a sudden, I think it's Johnny Rotten, or one of them. I thought it was Johnny Rotten. Anyway, whatever it was, to me, it was Johnny Rotten. Shout out, how can all you lot in here be banged up by all these screws? But not in that way, swearing. Really swearing, you know what I mean? And everyone's gone quiet. You've got people in there, mate, with chop their heads off. Do you know what I mean? Crazy people. Telling them what they are is complete wallies for letting them people bang them up. We walked in here, we can do what we like, and then we walk out. Look at you lot. And all the way it went. Listen, they got out. The alarm bell went crash. Screws come rushing in. They're making their screws there anyway. Everybody's got to calm down. Everyone has to get hold and rip their people's heads off. And then they got shipped out of the neck. But it's a big thing. It is you can Google it, you can find out yourself. People don't believe it, but when they Google it, they got back to me and go, oh, you can't believe it. I think it was 76 or 77. And, it's unbelievable that Sex Pistols come to Chelmsford Prison and play for us. But they went a bit too far with it. And then after that, the Nick is just running as it is. I have a fight with a few people. I have a fight with a guy, I ain't saying his name. I knocked all his teeth out. I was such an arsehole. He's such a nice geezer. And if he ever watches my podcast, I'd like to say I'm sorry. The guy was a diamond, mate. It was just one of the things that I did. Yeah, went over the top of it, went crazy. Anyway, a nice guy. And I loved Chelmsford Prison. Yeah, we both got nicked. We both were sensible. We both know the score about prison and how you talk to people. Went down the block in front of the number one governor. Ray Hill, boss, so-and-so, how'd you plead? We're guilty of it. But it's just one of the things, Governor. We're friends. It's got out of hand, and that was it. Mistake. Shook his hand. He shook my hand, and it wouldn't happen again. And I'm very sorry, Governor. It can't happen again. The government, okay. Bit of a fine, up the wing. And I loved it, do you know what I mean? And that was it. That was Chelmsford Prison. And Tony Lawrence, I'm not quite sure if Tony left or whatever happened. I think Tony left. Fraser got chucked out. I remember they shut the wing. They shut the wing, closed it completely, and Fraser with the Welsh screw that was in the kitchen, they all got hold of Fraser, dragged him out, chucked him out of the prison because he was causing insurance problems. They was doing the toilets. They was doing the toilets down the stairs, and they had these big corrugating sheets around the toilet. You got to remember, Chelmsford was a good nick, mate. It was like quiet, everybody done their own thing, no problems. Fraser come in from watching a football match because they won. He loved his football. What did he do? Come in, smashed the wing to pieces with a broom, these metal sheets. Went mad, crash, throwing things everywhere. They ain't gonna stand for that, mate. They ain't gonna stand for that. What did they do? He was shipped out that night, mate. He was gone, jump. It wasn't that night. They banged him up. In the morning. The Welsh screw was in the kitchen. He left the door open. We run down to the gate, a lot of us. Mitchell was going mad. Come back, but he knew we can't do nothing. We're at the bottom gate. We see Fraser being dragged out of that prison, mate. Dragged by his throat, I'm telling you. They dragged him out of that nick so fast, mate. He was shipped out, I don't know where he went, but they weren't going to stand with that. Fraser, you can understand this guy was a complete out of that nut. And he just was crazy for what he did. Why did you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? Why? Because it was mad. Smashing this up. He's taking the piss because Chelmsford was so easy going. Bottles of this, bottles of that. Eat what you want. Big steaks, big lamb chops, anything you want. Yeah? What does he do? Smashes the nick up. Which is the ways, why? And then you can understand, this geezer is an idiot. But that's how he done his bird. I think Tony Lawrence had gone. I'm sure Tony had gone. Listen, this goes on for quite some time, my story, yeah? I'm going to finish it there because I'm going to do it later on this evening. I'm going to finish this off later on this evening. It's a good story, yeah? The things that goes on later on with Tony Lawrence, Bindon and all that lot, yeah? When you lay down and you think about things and stories and bits and pieces, my mate KONTV done one about Funky Fraser and Tony Lawrence. Yeah? He told me to do this, which there's so much going on in my life that I can do it, and it's better than anything you've ever heard before. It's about Lawrence and Johnny Binden and the Gas Club and all that, and it's you know, it goes on more about prison and the fire and what goes on in there. You got to remember. Anyway, listen. I better stop it now. It's nearly an hour. I've got to go out. And anyway, this is Bang Bang Rail. Please, if you like this, and subscribe and take care. Yeah, bye bye.